Howdy, 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 my name's Anachi Sasuke. Welcome back to I think I was calling it Let's React to SCP Animations. But I don't think I should call it that this time because it's not just going to be the animations this time. So it's just, welcome back to SCP Sidestep. We're going to read a couple of entries, but we're also going to watch a few things. There's at least one of them that I don't think, we might not watch it all the way through because it says it's got jump scares and whatnot. But we'll see. But first we're going to start with the short silly one. Well, it appears to be silly. Let's find out. Expand.
Attention. Cleanup required in test chamber K7937.
Oh. Who's that guy? Or is it just to show that they're in a biohazard gear and he's just not? You're good. You have the you have the biohazard stuff. Oh! Okay then. It would link back to Happy Tree Friends and then Invader Zim, and also this apparently. Okay, so next up is this one, which is Doomguy in SCP. It says it contains a lot of jump scares, violence, blood, etc. Pleasant viewing. So I figured I would at least look at it to see just how bad that is. It's 6 minutes long, and we've got longer ones coming up. So, let's see how this goes. Oh, isn't that the one that if you see a picture of it, it's like, I will destroy it? Are they a mobile task force, or are they intruders? Okay. Was that the jump scare? Or, well, they said there's a lot of them. I feel like I might need to turn this one up a bit. I'm having some trouble hearing it. Oh, well, this music bang here is going to make YouTube mad at me. Oh, well. wonder if they did the original with, like, the old Doom engine, and that's why they remade it with Steam Filmmaker. Or Source Filmmaker, sorry. Same thing. A large number of the SCPs are boned. Although I'm not sure what, like, how this factors into it, unless this is... Okay, maybe he's just trying to say that this is where he sent them to. Okay, so he's trying to tie it into the Doom game. Cool. If there's dialogue, I'll shut up, I swear. If somebody were to make this for, like, Gary's mod, I would play it. Ew. Well, that's the Plague Doctor neutralized. Did the SCP never actually try to neutralize that guy? Why for art have looked at me? This is making me wonder now if these were SCPs they couldn't kill or didn't try to kill. Because it honestly feels like a lot, like watching this, it's just making me feel like a lot of these could have been neutralized, they're just not. Oh. This moved quicker than I expected it to. Oh man. It's this guy. I feel like using the super shotgun wouldn't just let him out of that realm. They did not. I feel like 682 wouldn't try to kill Doomguy, because he would just like see how much murder Doomguy just did and be like, okay, so you don't really seem like you're human, so I'm gonna let you go. And Doomguy would be like, alright, well, I'm gonna go back to killing all of hell. Later. I should probably actually... Okay. Next up is this one, which is, it says the Foundation SCP-303, The Doorman, featuring SCP Illustrated. So, expand!
Sponsored by Amino Apps. Hey guys, it's James. If you haven't already, you should check out the SCP Foundation Amino. Amino is a social app that allows people to join fan-made communities centered around shows, games, or other media. The SCP Foundation Amino connects you to other fans through discussions, fan art, and quizzes. For March, we'll be holding a fan art contest where the winner will be picked on the 30th to have their art featured in a community post on our channel. Joining the SCP community on Amino is quick and easy. Just click the link in the description of the video or the pinned comment and follow the prompts to download the free Amino app on iOS or Android. You can also find Amino on the App Store. Once you're in, search for the SCP Foundation and join. Make sure to follow us on Amino by searching for our username Forlorn Foundry. Enjoy 303, the Doorman.
Well, since he said all that, if you want to do all that stuff he said, I'm going to be putting links to in the description to all the videos we watch. So if you want to check that out, you can do that. Just because I'm not sponsored by anybody doesn't mean you shouldn't check out him being sponsored by, you know, Amino. Another janitor. Are you going to hurl a mop through an SCP's chest like the last janitor? 'Cause that would be boss.
Well, it wouldn't have been a problem if she wasn't so sensitive. I mean, we're talking about a holiday party here, not a funeral. It wasn't like I insulted her or anything. It just...
That was an uncomfortable statement as that guy went into the bathroom. But that is a nice chair. I'm not sure if I'm thinking of the right SCP as far as the doorman goes. That Discord? Oh. I wonder if the various SCP sites have like facility as Discord servers. Was the water the SCP, or was that supposed to be that she peed on herself in fear? And I mean, with this kind of production value, no wonder they're getting sponsored by people. Yeah, I'm honestly not sure if this is the SCP I'm thinking of.
Just to, you know, have you be for me.
Rob, I would, but I just don't know how I can help.
Just say you're with me the whole time at the party.
Anyone who paid attention at the party would know that I left early. I mean, regardless of who you were with, nothing's going to stop her from telling people. For Christ's sake, Rob, she's on board. What do you think people will say?
Rumors will make the rounds, but I am not about to let that bitch jeopardize my career.
I'm with you on that, Rob, believe me. I think we've got to be smart about how we approach this.
Hold on.
Can he be the one that the SCP actually gets?
Rob,
I don't
you
remember
okay?
what the doorman does.
You're breathing pretty heavily, Rob. What's going on, man? Are you okay? What the hell did you mean?
Yeah.
If you like SCP Illustrated's cameo in the video, then please go give his channel a look. Like us, he's using the visual medium of YouTube to bring the horror and storytelling of the SCP community to life. His channel frequently uploads a ton of videos filled with compelling stories, cool drawings, and a wide variety of amazing guest voices. Go check out his channel and give his most recent video a look, The Keter SCP-939.
Okay, so is there a link to that? There's a link. Okay, there we go. Okay, so it is exactly the SCP that I thought it was. It feels like it's been less time since then than it has, because if that was SCP-303 and I'm basically at 900 now, I just have to do that episode again, then that was a while ago. But it feels like it wasn't that long ago. And that brings us to the last video of the episode, which is going to be episode 4 of Confinement. Hold on for a second. I want to make sure that my recording doesn't crap out on me. Okay.
And I don't know who that was or why I have that dream so often.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I remember one dream I had where Bigfoot could talk and his entire species used to rule over us, and now they want to take over the world again.
That's dumb.
Is 420J not the fattest blunt you've ever smoked?
This is the only blunt I have ever smoked, and all my past lives are feeling it.
You know,
Dang.
I heard a guy inhaled one of these so hard, he swallowed the joint and temporarily jumped into another dimension. What's the matter, Connor? I thought that'd make you laugh.
Do you know what that means? My dream.
That's a little too Freudian for my taste, Connor.
Well, I'm not a Freud of anything.
Oof. Oh, wow. That one hurt. The boy is you, and the priest is the Foundation. There, boom.
Too obvious.
You've been here since you were 3, right? What else did you ever have to worry about other than being hacked, slashed, and drawn in quarters for 19 years?
I don't know. The day the Foundation told me that I had a mom, that kind of bummed me out for a while. Then I got over it when I started masturbating.
Ooh.
Those two things aren't connected.
Mr. Connor, report to General Marcus in Psych Wing Sector 5 immediately.
Oh my god, he's going to kill me. Probably twice if I'm late. Bye, Nat. Love you.
You're late,
Oh,
Connor.
Sorry, sir.
What's the matter with your eyes, boy?
I was up all night reading. Sir.
Reading what?
Words, sir.
At ease, soldier. Now I'm about to brief you on your mission. If you choose to accept it, not that it matters, since you have no choice.
You really like making that joke, sir.
The next 24 hours of your life will be unforgiving. It will involve traveling across national borders and making contact with a previously unknown hostile entity. And furthermore, you are 1/4 Eskimo on your mother's side, correct?
I don't know.
Well, according to the DNA swab you took 4 weeks ago, you share ancestry with the Eskimo people of Nunavut, Canada. This is crucial to the mission.
Oh, well, I guess so, sir. But I think they prefer being called Inuits, not Eskimos.
Oh, you're only 1/4, get over it. We head out in 10 minutes.
Well, it's nice to see he's in some sort of relationship with that doctor lady, because she seemed really cool. I wonder if he's an actual SCP or if he only exists for this series. Pringles.
Must be a great view out there, sir.
Oh, it is, Mr. Connor. That mountain looked like a breast, doesn't it, Lieutenant?
Sure does.
It's to protect normalcy, soldier. What if the van crashes and people see your regenerative ability?
They already believe in ghosts, aliens, and resurrecting Jews, sir.
We can't hide them all, Connor. We can't hide them all.
Normal. Wow. New Lowe's under
Wow.
construction.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty miserable. Dr. Marlowe's in there. Oh, and he's currently possessed by a ventriloquist dummy. It's a little jarring, but Marlowe's the best marine biologist in North America, so we can't afford to fire or kill him. Good luck, soldier.
What?
Hey, is this the right place?
Whoa, hey there, guy. I'm Dr. Marlowe, and this is my lab assistant, Dinkelman. You must be the test dummy from the States. Oh, sorry, mind my wording. Look at me calling you the dummy, right? I know this is a little odd to look at, a little unusual. There's some water on the floor, the bookshelves unorganized, there's a human arm up my rectum, but trust me, we are professionals, and this is a serious research facility.
What the heck?
Come this way, friend.
What just happened?
This is SCP-1836. It's an iceberg accompanied by several previously extinct species of hostile aquatic predators supernaturally piloted by a female of Inuit descent. She seems to really enjoy sinking vessels and feeding their occupants to her porpoise friends. The only people who ever survive these attacks are sailors and fishermen of Inuit descent, like yourself. We're going to need you to make proper contact with her. Sing her a song. She might get Inuit.
Was that a humpback whale trying to eat a bird in the background earlier? I didn't want to interrupt the bad jokes to say that, but I'm pretty sure that whale just tried to eat some birds. Okay, it wasn't a whale, it's got legs. That was a whale. Okay, yeah, so maybe I did see a humpback whale just try to eat a dude. Where are her hands?
Kinauvi, Kina, Tukesivinya.
Excuse me?
But you are Inuk, like me.
A quarter, yeah, but I don't speak it.
Are you a spirit?
Psh, I don't know. I was sent here to ask questions, like, what's the deal with the ethnic cleansing?
It's not ethnic cleansing. They do not ask for permission to hunt. Now I ask.
Oh, okay.
What are you doing here?
Oh boy. Well, there's this foundation of people who like to capture and learn about things that fall out of the norm,
And you're one of them?
God, you're worse than Ferdinand. Yes, but I also work with them.
You are submitting to their demands like a sled dog?
I prefer the term lab rat. Wait, no, I don't. It doesn't matter. Point is, I have no choice. This is all I can do. The sooner you can answer my questions, the sooner I can leave you alone to look for your fingers. Okay, I forgot the questions. What are you doing here? That's a good one.
I was escaping from my father. He wanted me to marry a man named Aguta. This man looked just like you. Very handsome.
Bit weird, but thanks.
But I did not want to marry. I did not want to do many things my father said. My father discovered that Aguta was an evil spirit. We rowed away to escape him, but I fell into the ocean.
Jeez.
When I clung to the side of the boat, my father cut my fingers off.
Ouch.
What?
Guess he really hated spirits. I mean, he must have known you'd become this iceberg whale goddess, right?
The last thing he would do was give me my freedom. It was my will that kept me alive all of these years.
What?
My parents were underprotective of me. And by that I mean they weren't there. Foundation told me that my mother abandoned me in an empty parking lot. No note, or whatever. Just left me there in the back seat of an old car, roasting away. Some poor old lady found a car full of dead babies one afternoon, and that's when the Foundation got me. From what I've learned about my cellmates and feel-good lifetime dramas, the ultimate goal of a parent is to keep their child safe and happy, even if they're dicks about it.
Could you comb my hair?
You got a comb?
Yeah, his funeral was okay. Not the best one I've been to this month. No, he's the guy that confused 173 for 096.
How the fuck do you have a signal up here, Philip? Just a bird, not even a cool one like an ostrich.
Well, I've got nothing better to do.
Don't waste your ammo, Lieutenant.
Careful, Gary, it might have a sharp beak. Go on, get.
Ooh!
Oh no! Somebody pull that man off me! Help!
What?
Connor. That sounds like a woman's name. Ow!
Aitak, sana?
You almost pronounced it correctly. I have never met another orphan before.
What the Who the heck? Oh, is that the guy? He looked like he's from Game of Thrones.
Akavani.
Sana,
I want to be alone. I'm not your wife anymore.
I did not come here for that. We have left you alone for thousands of years. You will be dead soon. You cannot deny that. And when that hour comes, your father has asked me to take you to him in the afterlife.
So he could control me there too?
So he could tell you how proud he is of you.
He cut off my fingers.
Yeah, well, dads be like that. He knew that you had a will strong enough to defy death itself, unlike him.
That sounds
He
bogus.
needs you. You don't have to answer his call, but
Take me to him.
Lee.
What now? Oh! Did he eat all the whales, or did they die because she's gone? He never had Pringles, did he? That is such a bad disguise, but I could see the Foundation actually being that bad about it. They still abbreviate all their cover organizations as SCP. I'm pretty sure that their marketing department are stupid. The hero who sits in general. Patrons! More patrons! Okay, so that does it for the video portion of the video. Now we're gonna move on to the ready bits. But first I'm gonna once again make sure my recording doesn't crap out, because I don't really trust my computer enough to not lose all of this file. So, alrighty then. So, this one is exit strategy. Exit strategy. I'm pretty sure that this one had something to do with the, I don't remember which SCP this had something to do with. I know that it leads to the Broken God. So I think it's that machine they found where they had to keep feeding it metal so that it wouldn't just kill everybody, and then they just started throwing people into it because the guy had a metal hip and the dude cried and whatnot, and I gave him a weird accent. I think it's that SCP, whichever number that was. But there is still no damage reports from the missiles the United States has launched. The dead are walking the streets. Be sure to lock your doors. This might not be anything like what I was thinking of, having read that sentence. No hospital is safe. On a nearby island, there's footage of a number of strange coral-like growths breaking the water surface. Even if they are family members, the government has officially rescinded all powers of the FBI. The FBI is no longer an officially sanctioned law enforcement entity. Increased sightings of monsters all over Europe and the continental United States. The threat isn't over! Avoid walking! Always wear your mask! A message from the religious group calling themselves the Church of the Broken God has stated that we are to baptize in the clockwork gift, so as to pave way for the new humanity. Are currently battling the army. Most urban areas have been turned into war zones. If by new humanity they mean robotic corpses, then I, for one, do not wish to be baptized. And whatever you do, don't go outside. The more things changed, the more they stayed the same. Agent Williams reflected on that thought as he followed a railroad track into Pennsylvania, or at least what was left of it. 6 months ago, he made a living tracking down SCPs, and now his life depended on reaching one that had already been found. He was still somewhat in contact with the Foundation, or at least what was left of it. There wasn't a lot of things left nowadays. Occasionally he'd get scattered radio messages from sites, MTFs, and some stranded agents, but they never broadcasted for very long. Of all the sites he knew of, Williams could only count the remaining ones on one or two hands. The rest had either fallen in the initial chaos or initiated nuclear failsafe. A macabre game surviving personnel played was to ask each other what they were doing on S-Day, the day everything went to hell. Williams himself was on assignment in South America when he noticed the rainforest around him slowly turning into clockwork. It was at that moment he bugged out. He never did find out what was the exact cause, but there were rumors floating around about it. SCP-217 infected crewmen on the International Space Station caused a catastrophic accident, seeding the entire lower atmosphere with clockwork spores. After hearing 217 had went global, and at least a dozen sites were compromised, Williams knew it was time to execute his exit strategy. His first priority was getting in contact with Richards. Richards was in fact on Keter duty, overseeing 231 no less. Containment was already blown to hell, so the priority was getting the hell out. However, Richards did note that before leaving, she made sure to leave her sidearm in 231-7's containment cell. Williams didn't know the details of what happened afterwards, but from what he had heard from the sites that still had access to surveillance satellites, there was a massive dead zone gobbling up Europe and slowly making its way across the Atlantic. Richards then managed to hop a plane to North America, but the closest she could get was a Canadian Air Force base in Nova Scotia. Either way, they had to get to their destination on foot, a rather dangerous proposition as all sorts of terrible things were loose and not just SCPs. Both the Church of the Broken God and the Global Occult Coalition were out in full force. GLC mobile execution teams were basically destroying everything that moved. If they didn't have a dim view of the Foundation before, they certainly did now, since they considered the Foundation at fault for not destroying the SCPs when it had the chance. The Church was meanwhile capitalizing on a wave of religious doomsday fervor, gobbling up more and more followers every day. Last Williams heard, 835 had grown to such ridiculous proportions that the oceans were literally unlivable, and it had overtaken 882's containment facility. The Church was busy trying to reach the machine by throwing wave after wave of clockwork drones at the biological monstrosity. And as for the other factions, well, most governments collapsed several months into the crisis, leaving a vacuum for others to grab power. Marshall Carter and Dark set up a stronghold in England called Avalon, which rather fit their pretentious nature. Williams secretly hoped whatever eldritch horror born from 231-7 took time to swing north and show those snooty bastards a good time. The Serpent's Hand and Chaos Insurgency were also out in full force, often directly clashing with the Church and GLC for control of what was left. Like the Church, the Horizon Initiative was also riding a wave of religious doomsday fervor. The Mana Charitable Foundation was trying to set up refugee zones with varying levels of success. Of the Iranians, Williams had no idea whatsoever. The Middle East was one of the first areas to be reduced to a nuclear wasteland in the global panic. Quickly focusing on matters at hand, Williams took a moment to get his bearings. If he was right, he was only several miles from his objective. So far, sticking to back roads in the wilderness had hampered his progress, but it was necessary to avoid unwanted attention. The GLC's METs had essentially controlled the road, and Williams couldn't afford to have other refugees or survivors tagging along with him. They'd just be extra baggage. This is Site 17 going off the air, Williams' radio squawked. It was essentially Foundation speak for nuclear failsafe. That left the remaining unknown operational sites down to 4 or 5. Remaining known. One less reason to stay, I guess, Williams muttered to himself. Unfortunately, before he could go any farther, Williams noticed something terribly wrong. He saw SCP-615 laying on the tracks. Sure, it could have just been any random pile of sticks and logs, but he could tell. Keeping his distance, he managed to catch sight of an MET of about 5 men coming the opposite way, flamethrowers in hand. They were obviously on the hunt, torching every pile of wood they could find. When they finally did hit 615, the creature quickly shot off into the forest. Spoon let the MET chase 615. There was only one SCP on his mind now, and he could fight any fight he could avoid would the better. He still had bad memories of his encounter with 173 in Arizona. Spent 2 days and 3 nights in a cargo container hearing 173 repeatedly banging on the walls were some of the worst in his life. Finally, he reached vestiges of civilization. It wasn't much, just a railroad junction with a small residential district and some stores, but he was on the right track. Keeping an eye out for any unnatural presences, Williams made a dash over the crossing, painfully aware of how exposed he was. Checking his map again, he found that he was only a few blocks from his destination. Encouraged, Williams continued deeper into town and felt his heart sink slightly. There was what looked like a military checkpoint just up the road, directly between him and the exit. Fortunately, the men manning the checkpoint didn't look like they were from any GOI, so Williams had the hopes that he could bluff his way past. Approaching closer, he could see that the checkpoint was manned by a pair of young, incredibly scared National Guards. He didn't think any of those poor saps were still alive. "State your business!" one of them yelled, aiming his M16 right at Williams' face. Even though the kid was wearing full NBC gear, he couldn't hide the fear in his body language. "Whoa, calm down, son," Williams said diplomatically. "I'm not here to fight." The other guardsman breathed a sigh of relief through his gas mask. "Oh, thank God. Are you here to help with the purge?" Yeah, Williams nodded, going with the flow. "I'm Special Forces." "Great!" The second guardsman stood aside, pulling open the makeshift barricade to allow Williams through. "It hit 2 days ago. The GLC is helping us clean it out. You should go tell them if you want to help. Go to them if you want to help out. I'll keep that in mind." "Oh yeah, remember, if you don't have an official sanction, we can't let you back out," the first guardsman added helpfully. With his objective so tantalizingly close, Williams started sprinting for his destination. However, in its rush, he got sloppy, rounded a corner, and ran straight into a GLC MET. "Stop!" the MET leader yelled. "Don't worry, I'm not infected. All individuals breaking curfew are assumed to be infected." "Where are you from?" Behind the MET leader, I'm going to say Met. Williams observed the rest of the Met unloading piles of clockwork corpses from a truck and dumping them onto a nearby lawn, where another Met member was collecting gasoline in preparation for a bonfire. "I'm from the Foundation. I've been sent here to help." "Hold on, I'm running this through command." The Met leader turned around and started waving to his squad. "He's totally playing you," a cold feminine voice burst through Williams' headset. "There aren't any outgoing signals, just stand still." A fraction of a second later, the Met leader's head exploded like a melon and the rest of the body crumpled like a sack of meat. The rest of the Met was still in shock and had no chance to react before being cut down by a combination of fire from Williams' M4 and Richard's sniper rifle. "You're late," Richard said in an annoyed tone as she made her way down from her perch atop a nearby water tower. "I've been camped up there for a week waiting for you to get your sorry ass here." "Well, as you can see, I was held up," Williams scoffed. She seemed to think going cross-country on foot was a cakewalk. "Come on, we don't have much time." Richards motioned for Williams to follow her. "Foundation HQ activated nuclear failsafe 20 minutes ago." "So there really is nothing left." "Affirmative." Williams and Richards were standing in a ruined mini-mart, which had literally been looted to its foundations. However, they weren't here for food or money, they were here for the restroom. "Does it still work?" Spoon asked. "I've tested it. 436 is still operational." Richards opened the restroom door, which was now hanging precariously off one hinge. You do realize the inherent danger and unpredictability of this SCP? Can you honestly say it will be any worse than where we are right now? Or what we're in right now? Point. It was incredibly awkward trying to fit 2 people into a restroom stall designed for 1, especially when both individuals were clad in full combat gear. However, they did eventually manage to make it work, and there wasn't really anybody around to see the whole fiasco anyways. Well, see you on the other side, Williams said. To greener pastures, Richard said as she grabbed the door handle and pulled it closed. So, there are no links to what this story was. There are also no links to the SCPs themselves. So let me see if I can go figure out what 436 is. 436 is Error Locket. A small locket apparently made from gold. That can't be right. Let's see, SCP 436. Okay, so yeah, they're using the locket that just takes them places. And that would also bring us to the shift at the factory. Okay. Anthony lifted his goggles from his eyes. He watched the man working at the nearest conveyor belt. Anthony had never bothered to learn the man's name, despite working with him for almost 3 years. It just wasn't something you did at the factory. Work-related accidents were all too common to really build up a rapport. And if you weren't one of the people who suffered from a lethal accident or among the few that would simply throw themselves into the machinery, there was the ever-present threat of simply disappearing. Yet after 3 years, Anthony was still alive. Still working in the factory instead of off fighting Nazis. He had lost most of his left hand at some point, but couldn't entirely remember when or how, as the length of the shifts caused one's sense of time to dilate somewhat. But he was still employed, and so was the man at the nearest conveyor belt. Unlike most employees, the man was unharmed despite his length of employment. Anthony wasn't really sure how that was possible, but apparently he'd found a way. The man was stamping the factory's mark onto a series of circular tin containers that looked like they were already coated in rust. He brought the lever down and the factory brought down one of its many arms and embossed the bottom of the little tin. Then the belt whirred briefly and a new tin sat before the man. He repeated the action, his eyes unfocused. Anthony felt a sweltering heat encase him as he pulled his goggles back on. He wrapped a shiny hoop around the cylindrical chamber and welded the ends together to reinforce the frame. Welding with only 1.5 hands should have been near impossible, but he never found it to be much of an obstacle. Anthony wasn't even sure what the thing was meant to do. He was just to create the central chamber and then drag it over to the woman who would have fixed the gauges and tubes to it. Then he would go back to his station and to find the beginnings of another chamber. He never bothered to find out where they came from. Questions in the factory often led to unpleasant answers. It was toward the end of a shift when it happened. Anthony was delirious to the point where he tried to welding without his goggles. Before he could place the torch to metal, a hand placed itself on his shoulder. He looked up to the manager, which wagged one of its many fingers as a playful warning. Anthony took a few moments to realize what to do, but he pulled the goggles back over his eyes. He was sure his eyes would begin boiling, but he knew the manager would reprimand him with much worse. He felt the manager pat his head gently, and Anthony could see it walking away in the edges of his goggled vision. He thanked it, and it waved him with a nonchalant dismissal of its various limbs. Anthony was about to start welding properly when he noticed the man at the conveyor belt was acting strangely. A grin covered the man's face. Anthony discounted it as his exhausted mind. No one smiled at the factory. The man bent down, rummaged through his bag, and came back up with 2 small toy robots. They didn't resemble something a factory make. They were too shiny, too new looking. He placed one on the console and it seemed to whisper mad nothings to it before carrying the robot's twin after the retreating manager, leaving his bag open. The little toy on the console turned to face the conveyor belt and yanked on the lever, but nothing happened. The man didn't notice in his rush after his superior. The manager turned around when it heard running footsteps. Work momentarily halted as everyone watched the proceedings. Nothing like this had ever happened before, at least not during their shifts. The manager watched the man approach and took the toy when it was offered. It examined the device, turning it over time and again. It gestured to the man who nodded and claimed to have created the little marvel, and many others just like it. The manager held the toy and its appendages as it held it at the man's eye level. Anthony grimaced when the metal crumpled helplessly in the manager's grip. The man looked like he had been shot. He lifted his cupped hands and the manager dropped the ball scrap into his hands. With a swift motion, the manager brought down an arm, removing both of the man's hands. They and the former robot hit the ground with a wet clang. The manager took note of the abandoned conveyor belt and glided over to it. The man scooped up his hands and cradled the wreckage against him. He followed the manager back to his workstation. It swept up the robot standing on the console and set it atop the waiting tin. The man called out in terror. The toy viewed its creator and its fallen brother silently. It turned to the manager. The manager wrapped a tendril around the lever. The man fell to his knees before his superior, but was ignored. Anthony lowered himself to watch the man dig into his bag sitting by the console. The man brought out a small tube that reminded Anthony of toothpaste, holding it as if his arms were chopsticks. The man chewed off one end and bit the tube, squirting something yellow-green onto the stumps he called wrists. The man fiddled with the wreckage before stuffing the metal ball into his bag. He hooked his arm through the bag straps and dashed off. Anthony noticed that the man's hands were somehow reattached, though they didn't look to be moving. The manager watched the man run off and pulled what looked like a pistol from seemingly nowhere. The manager spoke in words Anthony did not understand and aimed the pistol at the retreating toy maker. The toy maker let out a yell that Anthony didn't understand the meaning of, though he at least understood the words. The toy responded to its maker's cry by opening up its chest and firing a rocket at the manager's face. The floor of the factory that Anthony was on stopped. The conveyor belts halted, the welding torches went out, and for a brief moment the workers didn't even breathe. Then something broke the silence. A single sentence spoken in a tinny voice, something that no doubt meant for the dying manager. "Do not intimidate the working man." Oh, snap, it was a Dr. Wondertainment tale. Okay, so it wasn't just about the factory, it was one of Dr. Wondertainment's people at the factory. Ooh. Oh, wow. Okay, then. I'm glad I read that. I was like, oh, a shift at the factory, that's going to be uncomfortable, but it was a cross between the two. That means, as far as I'm concerned, that means that Dr. Wondertainment's got beef with the factory, and if that ever comes to blows, I cannot wait to see how that plays out. In any case, that does it for this episode of SCP Sidestep. In the next episode, I have no idea what I'm going to do, other than there will definitely be Confinement episode 5. Other than that, no idea. If you liked it, a like and subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later!